Well, Jean-Marc Vallée and his producing partner Nathan Ross brought me the book like 4 years ago or 5 years ago, and we started working on it together, and they match made between Alma Harrell and I. And then we were blessed to have Moses join us. And yeah, it was a very long journey from book to screen, and Alma really led the way so beautifully.
Yeah, it came really fast. I remember I was supposed to be going to do something else, and my agent called me. He was like, no, you got to drop everything and read this right now. And so I started reading it that night, and then the next morning, he was like, they need a tape in today. I was like, it's like 8 pages. I don't know how to do this. So did the tape that day, like literally just worked to get it in my head that whole day. And then me and my best friend, we shot it that night. And then the next morning, I met Alma. And that was kind of it. It was fast. Yeah, I think immediately there are a lot of things that kind of just jumped off the page. I'm from Baltimore originally, like that's my hometown. Oh, okay, I see your hand, baby. But yeah, so there are a lot of things that I could just feel in reading it. I was saying earlier, I probably say a lot of things that I said earlier. But I feel like, you know, in school we used to say there are things that you get for free, and I feel like this character, there were a lot of things I got for free just in instinctual feeling, I'd say.
Yeah.
Well, Maddie was very well portrayed in the book, so the book was helpful. And my grandmother was from Baltimore, so I had like a lot of family history that I looked into at the time and found out where my family lived and imagined they walked their streets. So there was a lot of kind of family imagination. And then there was incredible research that Alma had prepared for us of what Jewish Baltimore was like at the time, what Black Baltimore was like at the time, what the newsrooms were like at the time for women, and then also just the real cases that the fictional mystery murders are based on.
For me, getting into it, music is a huge part of how I process. It really just sort of puts me right there, and I immediately can just feel the things on my skin. So like it's in the curation of the playlist, I think, is my in. And then I was saying earlier, it's like, this was the first time I ever really had like any sort of feelings about coming out of anything, you know. I spent, 4 months being a mom of 2 sons, and at the end I was like, damn, I miss my kid. I ain't got no kids, but, so.
Natalie, what about for you?
Well, I love going in and out. I have to, actually, Alma would talk to me about it all the time because she was like, I've never seen anyone that can like be laughing and making jokes and then like go into a very serious scene. But for me, it's like a way of staying loose. Like I need to kind of be able to like mess around and laugh, and like I also really need to connect to everyone I'm working with, like the crew. I feel like everyone's like heart connection is part of what I do in a scene, and sometimes if I'm not getting it from the actor I'm working with, which wasn't the case on this with anyone, but I can always like connect with like someone in the room and feel that. So to me, keeping that like between scenes connection with everyone and like light spirit is kind of necessary for my process. And then when it's time to go, I just kind of snap in. But I'm definitely not someone who needs to like just stay in a bubble or zone, but I respect people who do, because I think everyone's got their different ways. And I think getting out of it is hard. I mean, I have 2 kids, so it's kind of like necessary. You can't stay in that world when you go home to your kids. But on something like this, it is very draining. So I think I definitely went home with like less energy than normal.
Of course.